All right, I really want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend today's webinar, How Big is Your Social Network? My name is Kevin Casey, and I'm a product and workflow consultant here at collagesWebinar, and we'll be hosting today's webinar along with a very special guest of ours, Dustin Meyer. Dustin is joining us today from Austin, Texas, and is also the Austin, Texas class leader. I just want to take a quick second to thank Dustin and just see how you're doing today.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right, awesome. We're glad to have you on board to do this webinar again. So before we actually jump into the webinar, I just want to go over a few basic features of how to use the webinar software. One thing you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner of your window is a small window that looks very similar to this. This is part of the webinar program, and if at any time you need to maximize or minimize this window, all you need to do is simply click on the orange arrow found here or found right here, and then you can maximize or minimize this window. If you need to ask a question, one thing that we have added on today, and I am going to touch on this a little bit later, is you can use our question field down here, which is just like sending us a text message. And then what I'll be doing is filtering through all the questions while Dustin is presenting. But I also have a slide on how you can ask questions through Twitter, which is a new thing we're going to start implementing. But before we talk about that, I just want to talk about real quick what Dustin will be touching on. He's going to be showing you what's working for him. I'm not sure if any of you currently follow Dustin on Twitter or like his fan page, but he does have a lot of great content that he does put out there, and just by utilizing all of the social media links. He's going to show you how to link your event sites to Facebook through collagesWebinar, how to add your social media links directly onto all of your event listing pages. And then also, Dustin will briefly touch on how he landed on Google Page 1 with Collage's SEO program. But before I pass this on to Dustin, I just want to let you know that if you tweet at collagesnet, take note there is no dot there, that will let us know if you have any questions. And also we ask you use the hashtag collages. This way we can keep a closer eye on all the questions that are coming in. And without further ado, I'm going to pass the screen sharing on to Dustin, and you can take it from here.
Sounds good. Show my screen. Okay, am I coming through? You guys can see it?
I can see it, yes.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Well, I apologize for the mess on my desktop here, but I completely forgot to clean it up for you guys. So we're just going to kind of start with ways that you can link the social media icons in your user galleries on collages.net to your different social media entities. So when you first log into the admin site, what you'll do is click on Event Manager, and then you'll go down to Preferences. Sorry, you'll click on Event Manager and then go to Preferences. And under Preferences, you'll have all the different ways that you are connected with Collages, but over here under the Add a Link to Your Studio Social Network is where you'll put in all the important information. So you'll click Edit. Here you'll put in your blog address, and then on top of that you'll put in the URL for your Facebook fan page. And then also if you have a Twitter account, which all of you should, and I'm going to check to make sure you do after we're done here, you'll put that in here as well. And where these will show up, if you can just give me, just be patient with me for a minute. These are going to show up, excuse me, inside your gallery when people come to your website, to your collages.net gallery. And let's see. I'm going to say hi to Emily and Nick here. So as you can see right down here on the bottom, these are the links that we just put in the addresses for. So when anyone's here in the gallery and they want to check on some of your different areas on the internet, they can click on these and it'll take them directly to your Twitter, your Facebook, or to your blog address. Now, the other thing to remind your clients of, as well as the people that are visiting, is the Facebook button over here. And what this does, Collages has integrated this feature. If you guys haven't had a chance to do this, is if you're already logged into your Facebook account, you can take the link from the gallery and post it on your own timeline and type in something nice here, something like and click share link. And this is going to go ahead and post on my Facebook profile, but you also have the option to post it on your page, a friend's wall, or send it as a direct message. So this is one of the things that we like to do is once the images have been posted on the gallery and on Collages, then we go ahead and we use this button here to post this link onto our clients' profiles if they've opted that they want that. Some people may not, but for the most part, a lot of our clients are really excited to see the pictures, and of course, everyone that they're connected to on Facebook has been waiting to see them as well. So another thing that I just wanted to touch on real quick is some of you guys may have noticed we were just talking about this before you guys came into the webinar today about Adobe has decided to go ahead and sort of nix Adobe Flash when it comes to websites. So I just wanted to say for a lot of you, you have blogs or websites that are HTML based, which is fantastic. And when you combine that with the Collages GSO program, it really does improve your Google ranks. So what I've done is I have a standard website here. It's basically a pro photo blog, but I've made it to where I have a static landing page, and then the blog posts are actually built into the site itself. But overall, everything is HTML, and Google has no problem reading all of those HTML goodies to get me up there in the ranks. But really quick, what I'm going to do is actually I shouldn't do it while I'm logged into Google. That way, oops, you guys will see an unfettered, like a true ranking of where I actually stand on Google, not just because I'm actually logged into Google. Come on, Firefox, you can do it. So my biggest competition or biggest competing keyword in my area is Austin wedding photographer. Okay, and just past the local listings, there is me. So I am technically in spot number 3. And the funny thing about using the GSO program is it only took me about maybe 6 weeks or so. I know some people have experienced different wait times as far as how long it takes to get on page 1 with the Collages GSO program. But once I was up here, I've pretty much been in this spot and have not moved. The funny thing is actually at one point I was actually spot number 1, and I give full credit to Collages GSO program, but also the fact that my website is HTML, and it makes it a lot easier for the Collages GSO program to help you out and get your listings up there. So anyways, just wanted to put that out there. So now let's kind of move on to the stuff that you guys have all come here for. So we're going to start with Facebook, and all you guys have profiles. I don't know if any of you have upgraded to the newest profile and how it looks, but one of the things that you can do just as a way to kind of get your word out there is you can actually customize the banner now to show pictures that you want to showcase more. So let's say you want to do like a wedding photo or something like that. Click Save. And now anytime somebody comes to your Facebook profile, your personal profile, they can say, oh my God, you're an amazing wedding photographer. And I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about you guys. Or maternity photos or senior portraits or anything that you guys specialize in. The other thing that most of you guys probably have in place, and if you don't, I highly recommend that you think about starting one, is a fan page. So I have several, and ever since collages started, Facebook started incorporating places as well as pages, I have been in a transitional process of migrating more of my stuff over to places instead of just pages. So my studio actually has like a physical address, so I can put an address here, and that way some of the benefits are people can actually check into my studio when they come here. In fact, I think I've got some, it's called friend activity, I believe. Yes, so this just shows whenever people are dealing directly with your photos, when they're commenting on them or liking them. But the other cool thing I like about the places is that it shows like how many people were here. Now this is a fairly new page, so I don't have a whole lot of people liking it, which you guys are more than welcome to if you want. But the nice thing about it is if someone comes to your studio and say they're there for a portrait session or something like that, or even for a wedding consultation, you can actually check them in using the Facebook app on your phone and tag them there, and it'll say that they are at your studio. So that is a really nice feature that we like to use. The other thing, though, for those of you that don't have a physical address, you actually go to where your clients are. You can take just as much advantage of a fan page as the next person, and I'll show you an example of that. So this is my senior portraits page, and we've decided, we made a decision a long time ago to keep our weddings and our seniors separate. And the reason for that is a couple of things. One, seniors, high school seniors are much more social on Facebook than brides are. I'm not saying that brides aren't, but we wanted to create a much more concentrated approach when it comes to marketing senior portraits on Facebook because of its viral potential. So as you can see, I've got a much higher number of likes on our senior portrait page. And the first thing that we do with our fan pages is, we definitely want to get some of our content on there. We put links from our blog posts from our various sites. We also put a few what I call sneak peek shots on there. After someone's shoot has been on our blog for a while, then what I will do is go ahead and upload high-res photos on our page, and that way on the fan page. So that way we can tag the senior in the photo, and she can now take this picture and use it for her profile photo, and then whenever she does anything on Facebook, obviously all of her friends will see it. So as time goes on, Facebook continues to add more features. So one of the things you can do is, besides just tagging the photo, you can add locations. And sometimes what we do is, instead of adding the actual location, that we were downtown by the river, we would just put in our actual URL. Or if you've actually registered your physical studio address, you can select that as well. So it's just another way that Facebook has become much more integrated when it comes to locations and people and websites and everything else. So one other note that I wanted to put out there, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time, a lot of you guys notice that we have the name of the studio as well as the link to the site in the description of the photo. And yes, it can be a little time-consuming to do that with every picture in that album. So what I have actually done is created a preset in Adobe Lightroom, which is what we use to edit all of our photos, to where it drops this information into the metadata so that when it uploads to Facebook, it automatically puts this in the description field. So no longer do I have to actually put Dustin Meyer Photography, http seniorportraitsaustin.com. And the place where you would actually drop this into is actually in the copyright file inside Lightroom. So first off, I just want to apologize. We are doing some remodeling on the house, so if you hear a buzzsaw in the background, I do apologize. So I am going to see, so far no questions. Don't be afraid to ask if you guys have any questions. So once the high school senior has been tagged in the photos now, she has the option to make that her profile photo, and anytime she does anything on Facebook now, obviously her friends will see it. I also highly recommend that you downsize your photos for the web, specifically to go on Facebook, and also watermark them. And the reason for this is a while back, most of you guys have probably already seen this feature, but for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm just going to make it known. Facebook offers the option for people to download your photos. So as photographers, it's your duty not to just protect your revenue stream by protecting your photos, but to also protect the photos for your clients. And I explain this to my clients a lot when I watermark their photos, because sometimes they ask me why I need to do that. And I tell them because the internet is a free market and stuff, you know, gets copied all the time, and if someone were to copy your photo from Facebook and use it for something else, well, my name and studio name are on there and my web address, so it watermarks it and protects it from somebody trying to use it for other purposes, like for commercial reasons or anything like that. And once I explain it to them like that, they typically don't have an issue with it. So, but one of the other things that I think is kind of important is ways to, you know, take what you guys do on your fan page and put it over on your Twitter feed. So what you'll do is once your page has been established and you put in all your relevant information, you'll click on Edit Page, and I believe it's actually under the Apps section. No. Well, a shortcut that you can do is just facebook.com/Twitter. And if you haven't seen the links to do this already, you can just go directly to this URL right here and it'll take you to the app. But what this will do is enable you to take anything that happens that you do on your fan page and feed it directly to your Twitter account. Some of you guys may have seen stuff going on Twitter where it said, I just posted 10 photos on Facebook. Well, this is how they're doing it. They're doing it by linking the two, and you're now taking something that's going from Facebook and putting it on Twitter. So I think this is kind of a moment where it's important to sort of establish who you're marketing to on Facebook. You know, definitely we all know there are a ton of photographers on Facebook, and I love liking other photographers' fan pages because I always love looking at new images. However, you know, we're not here to sell to other photographers, we're here to sell to our clients. So I find that fan pages are particularly useful, especially when you incorporate a physical address, so that it makes it more local, more personal. It's not just somebody on there showcasing their latest work. However, on Twitter, you might find that there are less consumers on Twitter and there's more photographers, but actually about a couple days ago I was doing a senior portrait session and was reminded, because I always take for granted that most of my clients aren't on Twitter, but I was actually reminded that I do have clients on Twitter and they do talk about me on there. And so I had a girl who I had done senior portraits for on Monday, and she was already tweeting about it that night after we finished, and I was driving back from the shoot from downtown. And as soon as I saw that, I also noticed that her mom was on there too. So I admit that I have been kind of taking for granted that most consumers, or I had assumed that most consumers aren't on Twitter, but they are. And I feel like a lot of it is a migration because everybody and their grandma is on Facebook now, and people are always trying to move towards the next thing. And I think that Twitter is being more widely adapted when it comes to small businesses, as well as, you know, Facebook. So whenever you add content to your Facebook fan page, having that feed to Twitter is kind of a crucial thing. So speaking of Twitter, they've made a few changes to their the Twitter web interface. So of course, this is your timeline here, and of course, if you're not following collages, you should be. But you've got your mentions list here, so anytime somebody talks about you, it's going to show up here. But now they've got this new activity stream, which is really kind of cool because after a while, Twitter had started phasing out the retweet feature in their site. Of course, you can still use it through Hootsuite, but Twitter prefers that you guys use the Twitter-based web retweet feature. So the activity stream now allows you to see who's retweeting your stuff, also who you are following, who they might be following now. So that might be something that you want to check out. Like here we've got Tricoast Photography over in Houston, decided they're going to go ahead and follow Jeremy Cowart. I've been following Jeremy for a while now, so Mike Fulton, you're welcome for that suggestion. So, but this is a great way to see how people are maybe taking what you've tweeted and retweeting it to their followers. So one of the things that you guys need to be aware of is what people are saying about you out there, and being in control of that, and this is one of the ways you can do it. So this is kind of the generic, the Twitter web interface. However, there's a much more powerful tool that I think some of you guys might know about. It's called Hootsuite, and it's something that I like to use a lot. One of the things I love about it is you can have multiple streams going at once, and especially if you are really wanting to be in charge of what people are saying about you on the internet, this allows you to put in your name, like perhaps your username, type it in, and now you've got a search column for any time somebody says anything on Twitter about you. So for instance, I didn't know that Brides and Beauty said something about me because it didn't show up in my mentions column, but because I searched for it on Hootsuite, now I can see that Brides and Beauty retweeted a Wedding Wednesday tweet that was mentioning my name in it. So this is a more in-depth way for you guys to see just how much of an impact or an influence you're having, as well as who's talking about you. So, and you can save that as a stream. And as you can see, I've got quite a few. But part of being responsible about marketing yourself on your social networks is also knowing who's talking about you as well. Another great feature I like about Hootsuite, and they keep adding new features all the time, is you can schedule tweets to go out at a later time. So let's just, for example, whoops, no period. Let's say for some reason I didn't want this to go out right this second, so I just click on scheduling. And let's say, you know what, I want this to go out at, we will say it is 1:23 here, so we'll say at 1:30. And schedule. Oops. The other nice thing about Hootsuite is it allows you to actually upload tweets in bulk, which is very handy if you want to just gently remind your followers every once in a while to maybe check out your blog, or perhaps you're running a promotional and you would use the bulk message uploader. And what it does is it allows you to download a template CSV file, which you will open in Microsoft Excel or Apple Numbers, and just schedule out tweets to go out at certain times. And they do have their criteria as far as like how to prevent spam and whatnot. They do require you to have unique tweets. You can't just copy and paste the same tweet over and over to be scheduled out every 5 minutes. But I do find that this is a very helpful tool, especially if you're trying to get the word out about a holiday promotion and letting people know that you've only got a few slots left for your portrait sessions. But for the most part, Hootsuite is a really powerful tool. It kind of takes your singular stream on Twitter and expands it into a much more comprehensive much more comprehensive tool to see what's going on. The other thing that you can create other search columns for Imaging USA, which collages will be at, or if you guys are going to be at WPPI, something like that as well. These search columns really do come in handy. The next thing that I think is, oh, and actually another feature, sorry, before I forget, if you guys don't feel like having to copy-paste your blog URL every time you want to tweet about something on your blog or on your website, then you can go over to Settings and go to your RSS feed. And here what you would do is just drop in your RSS feed so that anytime you update anything on your site, you would put in the address, select the Twitter profile that you want to use, check it every 24 hours, one post at a time. If you want to add some text to the front of it, then it would drop in the URL. And of course, if you're going to use Hootsuite, you want to use their link shortener. Click Save. And now anytime I update anything on my blog, which is in my website, it'll automatically get posted to my my Hootsuite account, which will feed it to Twitter. Now, another thing is if you decide that maybe you don't want to use Hootsuite, there is there's another way that you guys can feed your blog to your Twitter account that I think is, again, something that you definitely want to be doing. There's a service called Feedburner. Some of you may have heard about it. Feedburner was eventually bought by Google, but basically what it does is it takes your blog feed and allows you to track stats for who subscribes to your blog, how many times people clicked on the links to actually view your blog posts. But they've added this really cool feature that allows you to automatically have Google create a URL, a shrunken URL, and put it to your Twitter feed. So the first thing you would do is put in the URL of your blog, type it in here, go through the setup process, and then it will create a unique Feedburner URL for your blog. Since I've already got one set up, once you've set up your Feedburner, what you'll do is go over to, you'll click on that profile, and then here you can see all the different stats. You'll go to Publicize. You'll click on Socialize, and here you'll add in your Twitter account. And so now you're basically having Google feed your blog feed to your Twitter account. So, and there's other sites that can do this too, like twitterfeed.com. Obviously, Hootsuite will do it, and I think CodeSuite is another great service as well. So it just depends on who's got what features. But this is a completely free service that I like to use. Plus, I think whenever you can use a Google service, why not? Maybe it helps your SEO, maybe it doesn't. I like to think it does. So anyways, we'll close that out. And no, I wasn't watching YouTube while I was waiting for you guys to arrive. I actually use YouTube as a means to also market. And one of the things that I think a lot of you guys may already be doing, maybe not, but creating video slideshows of your weddings and portraits. And if you're not, I highly recommend that you do. Whether or not your clients are actually watching these videos, I think is sort of beyond the point. The main thing is that you're putting a place marker out there with all this additional content. Notice I'm titling my videos with keywords that I like to compete for. I'm also putting in the URL to my site as well as my contact information. And now this video is on there, and if someone were to Google Austin Senior Portraits, say they click on videos, oh hey look, there's one of my videos, and there's another one, and another one. And I pretty much dominate that entire market, so because of my videos. And because people are clicking on these videos, it just adds more relevance to where I rank on Google. And here we are, number 3 on Google, and so that way, when people are searching for pictures, here's one of mine right here. It just oversaturates the market with Dustin Meyer photography. So when they're looking for something like senior portraits, they're going to see us. It's pretty much guaranteed.
To kind of expand on that, Dustin,
yeah.
Google, for anyone that doesn't understand the GSO or the SEO, Google is a very, very sophisticated program, and they love seeing new content. And if it's one thing if you can put out a lot of content in articles or blog posts, but if you start tagging all of your images and uploading them with the copyright information through Lightroom, that's even though you can't see that when you actually look at the image, Google still sees it when the image is live, and that's how it's able to pull up all this information. And even with videos as well, same thing. With the videos, in all of the taggings and all of the descriptions, the more that you're putting in keywords that relate back to your name, the more Google will recognize your studio and will see all of this relevant content that is which is what they want to see. They don't want to give the first couple spots to someone that just keeps putting up the same images or the same blog posts. They want to see new content. They want to see that you're very active, and by doing that, they reward you and bring you up to the top of Google when on certain keyword searches.
And yeah, you actually reminded me of showing this to you guys just to prove the point that Kevin was making. Over here, I've highlighted when you click on Google Images, it'll bring you to this light box that overlays on top of the actual website that it's being hosted on. And over here, here's all the data that is in the metadata of that file. So when you're importing images into Lightroom, it is crucial that you put in keywords that you want to compete for. Of course, customers probably won't really care about your settings and your focal length and whether or not you're flash fired or anything like that. However, these keywords that you see over here are going to be what you guys want to compete for. So putting that in there when you guys are importing these images into Lightroom is absolutely a huge boost when it comes to getting up there in those Google ranks. And by having the GSO program working for you, basically what you're doing is kind of creating a really fertile garden of a website that's sprinkled with all these relevant keywords. So when Collages kicks in the GSO program for your site, it's ready to go. It's totally relevant, and all the traffic that comes to your site is laser targeted. So so yes, I mean, it's a really great point.
Hey Dustin, for your videos, what I'm getting a question from Summer on Twitter asking what program you use for video slides. Or for your
I use Animoto or Animoto Pro, and let's see, did I just close my YouTube channel? I think I did. Oh no, there it is. I use Animoto because they're totally unique, and I think that for me, I have a big background in music, so I really like the music selection that Animoto has, and the pricing for it is built into their annual subscription fee. Plus, it's just so easy to upload the photos and just have their software create the slideshow for me. Plus, they do have a share to YouTube as well as a share to Facebook and share to Twitter feature built into their service. So I've made it part of my workflow that at least every 3 to 4 events or senior portrait sessions or family portrait sessions that I do, I create a slideshow for it just to keep up with putting relevant content out there.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Let's see. We're at about 35 minutes or 30 minutes. One other thing that I think is also fairly important as far as getting, just broadening your reach when it comes to your social network is making sure that your site is streamlined to integrate with your different social networks. So for example, say on your blog, and of course I'm totally going to shoot myself in the foot for saying this, but a lot of you can actually create a Facebook badge on the side over here, encouraging people to join your fan page, or when people are talking about your site or they're doing things on your fan page, it can actually show up in your sidebar. I recently had to take mine down because it was I was tweaking something on my site and it was kind of creating some issues. But one of the things that maybe some of you have seen, but maybe you don't know you can actually utilize this, is the Facebook comments widget. And usually I just Google for it because I can never remember exactly where it's located. But it's a developer app, and the cool thing about it is, yes, you can definitely have people comment on your blog, which is great. But if you really want something that's kind of going to catch fire and really spread virally across Facebook, you can go ahead and put, let's see, I know I've got an example on my site, but you can put in the Facebook comments widget and then embed that into your blog, and that way when anybody uses the Facebook widget, everybody's newsfeed who is friends with that person will see that they've commented on your website through Facebook. Of course, there's also like this post on Facebook buttons and tweet this buttons and things like that. But I just want to show you guys an example that let's see here. This was one where I gave it a shot just to give it a try, and I was completely blown away at how much it had spread across Facebook. Loading. Sorry, I like to post a lot of pictures. But this is the Facebook widget here, and anytime anybody says or does anything in the Facebook widget, it's going to virally spread through Facebook. I mean, just tons and tons of comments. Now, unlike standard blog comments, you do have to come back and just kind of check it and see it, because there's no real way to currently get notified when somebody leaves comments. However, you're kind of making a decision: do I want this to be more virally oriented through Facebook, or am I looking strictly for brand new comments content for Google? So, but this is a tool that you guys can use, and to a lot of success, to really spread the word. After this blog post went up, a lot of these comments started spreading across Facebook within minutes, and so it's a really powerful tool that I think you guys can incorporate into your blog, in addition to having standard comments on your site. And then, of course, you definitely want to have your Twitter buttons and Facebook like buttons on your blog posts as well. If you want to use the Facebook comments feature, I do recommend that you grab the unique URL of that post and put that into the comments URL. That way, the comments widget doesn't pull every single comment ever made on your entire website, on your entire domain. It's only going to be interactive for those people that are specifically talking about that post. I highly recommend that you do not use your straight-up regular domain, because what will happen is anybody who's ever commented on your site using the Facebook comments box will start getting notifications when other people will be commenting on it, say from like someone else's wedding, that happens 6 months later, and these people are like, why am I getting notified about somebody I've never even met before? So you definitely don't want to cross the streams, as they say in Ghostbusters. So anyways, and then I could start talking about Google+, but I think that's for a whole different time and place. In fact, we'll have to schedule another time to even go over this. But this is a whole other social media entity that's out there. I'm sure a lot of you are either already on there or you've at least heard about it. So definitely get on there and check it out. A couple days ago, Google Plus made it available now to actually create Google Pages, which is specifically for brands, aka for businesses, whereas before it was strictly just for personal profiles. So a lot of people now are creating business pages on Google Plus, kind of similar to Facebook fan pages, but the benefit of doing stuff on here is Google Plus is completely public to Google, and again, you're creating content where you can put your blog posts on here and send stuff directly back to your website, sending that traffic back, and anytime anybody interacts with anything on your Google Plus profile, that looks to Google as, hey, this is relevant content, it's highly interactive, let's put more emphasis on these links that are going to this person's website. So I'm going to open it up to questions. So Kevin, if you want to look down the...
I have a couple of questions for you about the fan page that you first opened up to. Do you know if because it looks different than what most of our attendees are used to seeing? Is it like a slow release that you think Facebook is doing, or was there a specific area you went to change your profile to have that picture at the very top as your header?
Awesome.
That you can change.
Yes. So as of today, all of you will now be official Facebook developers. Yay! All right, so I'm going to show you guys. And people have asked me this question before, like, how do I know all this stuff? And it's because I'm always looking at social media sites like Mashable. Mashable is definitely one of my favorites. So a while back, they posted an article about how you can actually take your personal profile and go ahead and enable the new, what's called the Facebook timeline. So go to Mashable.com, search for Facebook timeline, and literally just follow the steps. What it'll do is it'll show you step by step how to sign up to be a Facebook developer, which is basically just enabling the quote-unquote developer app on Facebook, and then you will basically create a dummy app that doesn't do anything. But once you finish the process, you will be given an invite at the top of your profile that says, hey, welcome developer, how would you like to be in beta testing for the new profile? And you say, of course. So, and then you'll be able to do all this. Yes, it is sort of something that is kind of being rolled out, but currently it's only being rolled out to people that are going through this process of signing up for becoming a developer. As you can see, there are people on here who still have just the regular standard profiles. But one of the things to keep in mind is that only other developers will actually be able to see other people's profiles like this. So if you are a developer, or if you've enabled the timeline for your profile, you can see other people who have done it as well. However, other people who have not enabled it or gone through the process will see your standard Facebook profile. So again,
okay, so that wasn't the back end of it. That was how people that are already on the new timeline. That's how that's what it's going to ultimately look like once they're done with all of the once they're done, or once they're out of beta testing. This is what they're going towards.
Yes, this is what Facebook is going towards, and in my personal opinion, I think Facebook is basically trying to become a replacement for people's blogs, or at least they're taking the format of people's blogs out there and incorporating that into the personal profile layout.
Okay, excellent. Another question, as far as putting the copyright information and tags on the images in Lightroom, is Lightroom the only program that you can do this through, or can you do it through Aperture or Photoshop as well for photographers that might not have Lightroom?
I don't have a lot of experience with Aperture, but I do believe you can do the same things in Bridge that you can do in Lightroom. Essentially, any sort of photo editing software that allows you to edit the metadata of the file, yes. You can add the keywords into the image, especially upon importing, and then also when we first saw that area where it showed the name of the studio and the URL underneath the photo in Lightroom, that would actually be the copyright section in the metadata.
Okay. Yeah, anyone that does have any questions about that, I would recommend either Googling it or contacting whatever program you use for editing your images. Maybe check out their forums. You can always find a video tutorial for almost anything now on Google or YouTube. So feel free to dig a little deeper there to see how you can do it in other programs as well. Okay, so I believe that's all the questions we're going to get to right now. What I wanted to do is I just wanted to briefly touch on a new product that we have at collages.net. And can you see my screen now, Dustin? Oh, there we go. Okay, so it looks like we can see my screen. But a new product Collages recently launched. I'm sure if you are following us on Facebook and Twitter, you have seen us mention the story blocks. The best part about the story blocks is that this is a product unlike any other product we offer, because it can keep your customers coming back year after year. As you'll notice by looking at this picture, you actually see the yellow arrow is basically showing that you can replace any of these blocks at any time. So as you do baby portraits, if you do a maternity shoot, your customers can go back year after year to update their blocks. And the best part is that the blocks are very inexpensive, but it will keep your customers coming back into your studio so that you can then continue selling them on more products that you have, like additional family portrait shots or additional card orders around the holidays. And these story blocks are available in many different sizes, and you can download them, order them through Rose. And if you don't have Rose right now, you can download Rose, which is also our Collages color, at www.collages.net/Rose. More sizes will be available soon. Since it is a new product, we only have a limited sizes available right now, but we will be releasing these as closer towards 2012. So that does conclude today's webinar. If you do have any questions about the webinar or anything that Dustin touched on, please feel free to email us at webinar@collages.net. You can mention us on Twitter at collagesnet, and then some coupon codes that you can take advantage of right now are a one-time 30% off your first Storyblocks sample if you apply the coupon code SB discount at checkout. And then also until December 14th, we are running a card promotion so that if you buy 24 cards, you get 24 free with the coupon code 24 free cards. And it is limited to only one use. But other than that, you can always call customer service from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And other than that, Dustin, was there anything else that you wanted to include before we let everyone go?
No, just thanks for everybody attending today, and you can also follow me on Twitter at Dustin Meyer, or friend me on Facebook, or hit me up on Google+. I'll do my best to help you guys out. But Kevin, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Dustin. And one last thing, this webinar is being recorded, so if you guys have any questions, if you missed anything, if you want to see how Dustin set everything up again, feel free to go back to the blog, and you can download in the archive tab. There, these will all be available for download. And also, if you do have a Twitter, if you do have a Facebook, show us some love, show Dustin some love. Just let us know what you guys think of the webinar, any areas of improvement. We're always open to suggestions. So I hope everyone has a great day, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Thanks so much, guys.
Bye, Dustin.